regarding adjusting recreation fees in the city of Ventnor. So there was one recreation fee that was left open. All the other recreation fees have been approved. This is regarding the seasonal pickleball fee. So I'll give you my 2 cents. I don't believe we have a consensus yet, and I'll leave it to the other commissioners to find their level. I'll just give you my judgment on this. Recreation falls under my department. However, matters like this require votes. We have a recreational board. We have a rec board. The rec board does all the hiring, the firing, and the management of our recreation department. I rely on them. I don't come to every meeting, but I come to as many as I can. We rely on their recommendations. Their initial recommendation was $200. I'll let that sink in. Then this is the day-to-day operating governing body for that department. They had further conversations and settled on $150. That is the recommendation that I concur with, and I'm alone in that, I feel. Like many other municipalities in the country, Ventnor uses a combination of taxpayer support and user fees to operate specialized recreational amenities. It's not only common to pickleball, it's also common to golf and marinas and ice rinks and public pools, recreational leagues, and fields. In Ventnor, our fishing pier seasonal fees are currently $200, and for adults, and it's for seniors and the military, it's $150. My feeling is that we balance this affordability, public access, and responsibility in maintaining this high-quality facility. The current $100 pickleball membership fee generates approximately $56,000, with another roughly $38,000 collected through hourly court rates for a total revenue of about $94,000. The city's annual cost associated with the courts, including staffing, equipment, additional windscreens, insurance, payroll taxes, administrative oversight, Department of Public Works, maintenance, cleaning, trash collection, repairs, and approximately $70,000 in annual debt service for the newly renovated $1 million court improvements is estimated at roughly $122,000 annually. That means that at the current $100 membership fee, the program operates at an estimated deficit of about $28,000 per year, with the remaining cost absorbed by the general taxpayer. And when I say general taxpayer, there are 559 active members last year. There may be more. We hope there are. There are roughly 10,000 taxpaying residents in the city. So for 6% of the residents that play pickleball and 94 roughly percent do not, it's my opinion that under the proposed 150 membership fee, the total revenue would increase approximately $30,000 to $28,000, depending on membership, and it would bring it closer to a break-even point. This is not a profit center. None of these recreation fees are a profit center. That's a very big misconception. This is a small part of the city budget. The broader question, in my opinion, is whether costs of a specialized recreational amenity used by approximately less than 600 individuals should be subsidized by all taxpayers in the 6,400 residential taxpaying properties in Ventnor, including residents who will never use the facility, or whether users should contribute to the majority share towards the actual operating and long-term capital costs approaching it that approaches this. I will say that this is not an uncommon question in other cities. Ocean City spent $1 million in 2024, and their mayor asked for a $225 annual fee. He was outvoted to a $100 fee. And respectfully, this is in my opinion, government should have more conflict and more resolution in this manner. I will vote with my conscience and say that $150 is a fair fee for an amenity like this. I will leave it to my respected associates here to discuss whether they want to do something less or more or at the same and vote on it at during the commission meeting. We would pull this out of the consent and vote on it separately. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'll jump in. So I appreciate that detail. Some of it information I didn't have before. Really detailed breakdown, Tim. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I get that it's not, we don't look to break even on these things, but this would get us to that point. And up, I don't support increasing at this time because of what we just did with the budget. I get exactly what you're saying. And if we just didn't increase our tax rate by 6 cents, I would probably be right with you. And it's one of those catch-22s. I guess I'm trying to use that phrase because we do put a lot of money. We just put $1 million into this site. It's not all finished. We're going to finish the rest of it in the fall, but I'm hard pressed to put the 6%. That it's only 6% of our population that is using this,
and they're not all residents.
Right.
That's so that for me the tax increase is not necessarily.
It's not apples to apples, but it's
not
something else that we're tacking on, and that's what it feels like, and that's why I was uncomfortable with it.
Yeah,
but your information was informative. The one tandre.
And I'm not, and I think that in the future, I think all rec department fees should have a 2-tier resident, non-resident aspect. That's something that's done in other cities. I think it's something that we can do as well.
I think it might be property owner, non-property owner.
Property owner, non-property.
I think that might be a better way to look at it.
And I think you have to prove that because there is an argument to be made that you are increasing taxes on folks, but they are already paying somewhat of the freight for these specialized. But these are, to me, the tipping point for me is the percentage. You have such a specialized user group here, and you have such a non-user group on the other side paying for what is something that it's an amenity. It's not a need.
Agreed.
So, I'll leave it to you. If you two want to discuss something, I'm still at
I have some
150.
comments. So again, I appreciate everything you said, and I think it's a good practice for government to be able to for things like this to be able to pay for itself from fees. I know the ideal is to cover costs. I understand compared to tennis, pickleball is a bargain, compared to what they pay for tennis. Diana ran some numbers for me, and based on $150 fee, it costs anywhere from $272 a day to play to, depending on how much you play, to $3 something a day. So none of that sounds horrific, but to me, I will tell you, a 50% increase bothers me.
Yeah, speak into the microphone.
Did you hear nothing I said, or you can't hear just the latest? Okay. So I was saying I could appreciate what Tim has said, and it's a good way to operate to cover your costs for a something like this to be covered by fees. And I also said compared to tennis, I understand that pickleball is, if you compare it to tennis, is a bargain as far as what's paid. And I had Diana run some numbers for me, and basically this equates to $150 fee equates to $270 a day to $3 something a day, depending on whether the weather's nice or not. But I do have, personally, I do have a problem with a 50% increase. That's what bothers me about this, that it's a 50% increase. $100 to $150 is a 50% increase. And I would be amenable to something less, something in the neighborhood of $110 or $120 from $100. And for us to look at this every year so that there's incremental small increases perhaps every year and not one big increase in one year. So that's what I would be in favor of. So I know we're not all on the same page on this.
Right.
We just need to address add it to the resolution. If the two of you have a number that you want to insert, it would become part of the resolution at the end during the meeting. So I appreciate what you said, and thank you.
You know what?
I think there's also
thing. Sadly, I didn't get to the beach one time last year, but I'm paying for that. There's no way beach tags pay for beach maintenance, beach monitoring, lifeguards. I know you look at that a little differently to this, but
Well,
I look at it as the same. We are not covering our beach fees with beach tags. There's no way in hell we
No.
could ever do that without charging a fortune.
I think there are similarities, but I think the beach and the activities that go on in the beach are part of the city's identity. It's part of our economy. It's part of our, it's a wider use, and it's part of where really are a resort. This is a specific lane, a specific channel. I think that maybe we are higher than, or we are at the high end of the scale today, but we are not necessarily going to be at the high end of the scale a year from now or 2 years from now, when all the other high use, this is a high use facility, it's going to require maintenance, and all the other facilities in Ocean City and Sea Isle, they're all going to require the same $1 million repairs that we are absorbing this year. And like I said, I respect your opinions. If you choose to do, I heard 110, 120, if you decide to make that number, you have the ability to vote 2 against 1, and that's part of the process. So we would just need to know what that amount is.
I think
We got some comparables, right? Brigantine's 120, Margate's 100, Ocean City's 100. Sea Isle is non-property and property owner, 150 and 100. And by the way, we've always looked at that, but we had the legal opinion that we couldn't do that in prior years.
Right.
So now I'm hearing we can do something like that. So it's not like we never thought to do that. It's just that our attorney at the time always said you can't have a 2-tier rate.
Yeah. And
Pat, is that something can we do something like that for property owners and non-property owners? Can you split fees for that? That's a no. That look was a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
and my reason for pumping the brakes on that for this session is that I wouldn't I think you have to do it across the board.
I wouldn't do it now. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with
no.
you. I wouldn't do it tonight.
I'm looking at the rec department
So,
president
You'd have
and
to do
saying
it.
she's got dozens and dozens of camps and classes and that are affected by residents and non-residents, because we grow from 10,000 to 30,000 people. So that is a factor. And I think you'd have to do it
Across the board.
across the
Yeah.
board for all.
That
You
makes
have to have some type of percentage that would apply towards
That would be something we could look at and give Kat time to.
yeah.
Just a question
just make it iron.
for my curiosity, is there a daily fee you can pay? Like if somebody wanted to come from Cape May and just play for a day, there is a daily fee? Okay.
So the JCC is 149, Pickle Juice, wow, is 250 for the summer season. And Pro Shop, I don't
Lean
know
in.
what that is 29. Pro Shot's 299. Pickle Juice for the summer season's 250 and JCC is 149. What are you saying?
We're picking on you a little bit. Sorry.
You always pick on me.
So yeah, there's precedent for where we're on the top end of that scale. I acknowledge that. But I think I said what I said.
I think hearing both of your comments, I could lean towards a graduated increase. Like I said, 50% is a lot in 1 year. I think the 120 is something I could go with at this point, and then we reevaluate next year and see where we are. See if we can do different charges for different folks and that aspect, folks that are already paying for, the bonding, that we just did to do the improvements to the site.
Yeah, we can look at senior rates. I know we can do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I make a comment, if you don't mind?
please.
I think there's a danger in focusing too much on percentages and numbers without analyzing the actual impact of what that means. And so going back to the budget, for example, when you talk about a 6-cent tax increase, 6 cents here might be 1 cent somewhere else. So it's not fair to compare tax rates. They become meaningless. They're not an apples to apples comparison. So the analysis that Maria provided showing the actual impact to people, I think is the key. Is $20 a month too much to ask people to pay for additional taxes to cover the services that they're used to having? And that's what that 6 cents translates to. In this case, where you're talking about going from $100, a nominal fee, to $150, yes, it's a 50% increase, but it's $50. And for a 3-month season, that's $16 a month, or about $4 a day that we're asking people to pay to help defray the cost of running that top-notch facility. So I personally don't think that there's too many people in this room or in this city that can't afford another $4 a day to enjoy a hobby that they've taken up and that they've committed to. And, I commend everybody and hope they do enjoy the new facility. But really, $4 a day, folks, come on.
Tom, you're absolutely right. I just can't do it. That's just how I feel, but you're absolutely right.
All right, so do you want to amend the resolution to be 120, from 150 to 120? Is that what you're saying?
I could go with
You're
that,
good?
yeah. But that'll come out of the consent agenda and we'll have a public discussion on it in the next
Right, when we get
5
to
minutes. Yeah.
when we get to the committee meeting, when we get to the actual meeting, it'll come out of the consent agenda and we will have a separate vote on resolution 167. We're amending that resolution to adjust recreational fees to be voted on in the regular meeting at $120. Is the